So, my name is Peter Brooks, and I'm going to be giving you just a quick introduction to Native American cosmology. And when I'm speaking of Native American, I'm speaking of pretty much the tribal nations north of what we call Mexico today. And these are generalizations. I can only speak for the area where I am, which is the Mid-Atlantic states, which is somewhere on the right side around the center in that little area. The place where I come from is called Tayac Territory. Tayac Territory. And today they call it Maryland. Maryland. So I'll be speaking primarily from an Eastern Woodlands perspective. Eastern Woodlands Indians. These are also known as Algonquin Indians. Algonquin Indians. So the first question, we have to ask is, what am I talking about? What is meant by a cosmology? A cosmology is a philosophical term that describes the way in which people understand the nature of life, the nature of being, the nature of the universe, of existence, and things like that. The root of the word is cosmos, which is another word for the universe or the stars or existence. How do you understand the universe? How do you understand the things that exist, that we can touch, feel, see, and hear? How do we explain what is our perspective on life? Now, most of the time when you're talking about cosmology, you're going back to creation stories. And so the Christian cosmology, starts with Adam and Eve and the idea of sin, that you've done something wrong. And then other people, for example, in the islands of the Pacific, have a creation story where they come from the stars. And in fact, they would tie little bells on the baby's feet to keep them from floating away or being to know where the babies were at all times so that they weren't taken by their star cousins and star people and stuff. And the Native Americans fall somewhere, in there. In that these are what are known as the people of the earth. The Native Americans consider ourselves the people of the earth. People of the earth. And it's true when you understand the names of so many of the tribes and where they come from, they speak to where the people are from, who they are. And so this man an example of the Anishinaabe tribe. Anishinaabe. The Anishinaabe tribe are also considered an Algonquin tribe, coming from the area in Minnesota, North Dakota, all throughout the Great Lakes in Wisconsin, Michigan, throughout there, the Anishinaabe. Anishinaabe are called the people of the earth, the people from the earth, the people from the earth. Where I am from, the Tayac, the Piscataway people from the word Piscata. Piscata, people from the waters, the people from the place where the waters flow, the people from the waters. The Cherokee or Salagi, the Cherokee are the people from the caves, the people from the Salagi, people from the caves, Salagi. And the Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse, the people from the Longhouse. The Haudenosaunee being, upstate New York, the Iroquois tribe. But the fundamental understanding of this aspect of the cosmology is that the people and the land are one. And so everything that has to do with the Native American philosophy or view on Earth is as a part of the land. Everything is looked at from that perspective. The people and the land are one. And that's really important to understand. And so that's why you see that issues of land ownership and placement and location have to do also with purpose and reason for, and being and stuff. And so this is why being displaced from the land is so extraordinarily traumatic to Native American or indigenous people for the most part. Another function of the cosmology to understand is the idea of mitakuya oyasin. Mitakuya oyasin, which is Lakota, which means we are all related. We are all related. You will hear Native Americans will greet themselves or will say goodbye saying mitakuya oyasin. It is sort of a rallying phrase that we are all family. And so just as the land and the people are one, all of the people are one as well. The people are equal. The land is equal to the people. And so the Lakota, who are also star people, are not the only ones that are star people, but are ones that have shared what their knowledge is, what they know. So much of what we understand about Native American cosmology comes from the Lakota people and their unifying phrase, mitakuya oyasin. And so if you look at, the religions of the world, you would say Christianity is Jesus died for your sins so that you may be redeemed and go to heaven through the redemption of your sins through loyalty or behavior that is consistent with what he taught. And you get the same thing with Islam. Muhammad is the messenger of God, and there is no God but Allah. And you get the same thing with Hinduism in a way. It's that we are all born again, we are all renunciated, we are born into these lives for reasons, and we have to learn and act in ways consistent with the laws of the universe in order to get to the next level. Well, for the Native Americans, the phrase would be, we are all related. We are all brothers. We are all sisters under the sun. We speak different languages, but we're all human beings. And we are one with this land. And for the most part, many of them will say we come from the stars. Most of the Algonquin creation stories have to do with a turtle and the land being spread over the back of a turtle. And so North America, the place where you are now, not referred to as North America by indigenous people, but Turtle Island. Turtle Island. It's important to know, Turtle Island. And so that has to do with the creation story. And so if we look at some of the values that Native Americans have versus mainstream American values, this will help you to understand, the differences in the cultures. Like in American culture, we're all about individualism. Take care of yourself. I'm thinking of myself, as a phrase that we'll offer all the time. But in Native American values, it's taking care of others. In fact, the way in which Native Americans differentiated Europeans from themselves is that the Europeans were called fat takers, or those who take the best for themselves. They don't give the best to others first. That's what we do. We give the best to others first. They take the best for themselves first. And so that's a really good way of understanding. Another thing, time is very relative to Native Americans, whereas in mainstream American values, timelessness, every second counts. We're taught that time is money. That is not so much the case with Native American philosophy. If anything, time is a certain responsibility, responsibility to your family, your ancestors, a certain accountability goes with time. Um, and as a result, there is a respect for age. We're trying to help people to become as old as they can. And those are the people who we revere. In fact, in the Eastern Woodlands, we wouldn't begin a meeting or a sporting event or anything like that until the oldest woman in the room said it was okay to begin. She had to be comfortable with everything that was going to happen and in her position wherever she was in the room. And so there was that respect for the elders, whereas now it's all about being young and staying young and looking young and keeping your youth. We very much emphasize cooperation, whereas Americans emphasize competitiveness. The idea of mitakuye yasin, we all get there together versus I've got to get there, and if you don't, it's too bad, or I win if you don't. Patience, very important in Native American values, whereas in American values, you want to be aggressive and show your victories, if you will. Listen and you will learn versus speak up and be heard. Generosity and sharing versus materialistic. Living in harmony versus conquest. To Native Americans, the earth is a gift that was given to us, but to Europeans, it is a resource that is to be divided up and used. Native Americans give indirect criticism, whereas Americans tend to give direct criticism. Criticism is often hidden in stories or in allegories. There's a tremendous emphasis on wit in Native American culture, being able to elicit humor with education, if possible. And finally, humility versus self-retention. Now, all of this may seem, idealistic or whatever, but also consider there is no currency in Native American culture. Things are traded. People trade their time and their effort, their, what have you, but there's no real money. There are things that can be seen as money, like tobacco, which have value, or wampum, or beads or anything like that, hides, but there's no real currency, a national currency here. And this is important because currency is the source of slavery. And so when people talk about reparations for slavery, they think they can solve it through currency. No, it's currency itself that causes slavery. No time, as we said, no electricity. So you guys don't have air conditioning, you don't have computer games, you don't have internet, anything like that. The woods are your internet, if you will, the woodlands. No airplanes or cars, no sense of ownership like there is today. There is ownership, in Native American culture, but it's not like it is today with this thing of accumulation. There are no books. Literacy is not emphasized as much as listening, concentrating, remembering. There's no school. There are no churches, there are no jails, there are no psychiatrists. There are police, if you will, but there is not an imprisonment. It is a banishment. Most penalties are dealt with immediately. There's no time for rehabilitation or what have you. One of the things about the cosmology is, you are what you are, and you will be that way until you pass. Sexual roles are very different. Most of the eastern woodland tribes are matriarchal. Most of the tribes where you're going are patriarchal. They are run by men. Many of the eastern woodlands tribes are run by women. Women are in control, so it's very different in terms of the sexual roles. Sexuality is also a lot more fluid. There is partnership, but kids are raised by uncles and cousins and families, and they form relationships and they spend time with different people. So the whole idea of family and sexuality is a lot more fluid. There are traditions that people might find shocking here, but it was if a sister gets married to a man who is very good, it is an incredible gift for the sister to lend the man to her sister, for a night or something. So physical fitness and utility are paramount. And that's really important. Utility meaning, having some usefulness. These things are emphasized. Everyone has a role. You have to figure out what your usefulness is. It can be storytelling. It can be helping. It can be medicine herbs. It can be all kinds of things. But having a sense of, like usefulness is really, really important. And then you're also talking about an oral culture. You have to speak and remember and listen. And finally, it's the notion of sacrifice. So the best way to understand the cosmology and the way of life of Native Americans is to experience it. And so we're going to do a ceremony which is called the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address. Now, this is not the actual Thanksgiving address. I mean, I'm not Haudenosaunee, but this is an example of, it's inspired by the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address, which are called the words before all else. So these would, like a pledge of allegiance or morning prayers or even evening prayers, these would precede things like like a pledge of allegiance. And so it's a very powerful resilience tool. The Haudenosaunee government is probably the longest running continuously operating government on the planet. It predates the British monarchy by anywhere from 50 to 100 years in Magna Carta. And they were never conquered, the Iroquois. All the other governments in the world, except the British monarchy, have either been colonized or overthrown. So this is their secret to success, if you will. And it has to do with the power of gratitude. And in the speech, you are constantly expressing your gratitude for the gifts that you've been given from Mother Earth. It is a reorientation to being a human being. When you hear the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving address, you're going to hear things that you didn't know or weren't aware of. No one ever explained them to you. You just kind of took them for granted. And finally, these are the code of laws for the Great Law of Peace, which was the government that existed prior to the United States. So the Great Law of Peace was given to the Iroquois people by Hiawatha, as I said, in 1100 AD. Because the laws were not written down like they are today, you had to recite them. And so the Haudenosaunee recite the laws before all else. And as a diplomatic tool, between nations, you'll see the words before all else are absolutely overwhelming. Now, the secret to it is a call and response. Whenever you hear me say, now our minds are one, the response is to say, no, or proceed, or carry on, we agree. And so I will say, now our minds are one, and you say, yo, oh. You don't have to wait until then. You can say it any time with anything I agree with. But the Haudenosaunee Thanksgiving Address. No.
Greetings to the natural world. The people. Today we have gathered and we see that the cycles of life continue. We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. So now we bring our minds together as one, as we give greetings and thanks to each other as people. Now our minds are one. Yo. The Earth Mother. We are thankful to our Mother, the Earth, for she gives us all that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk upon her. It gives us joy that she continues to care for us as she has from the beginning of time. To our mother, we send greetings and thanks. Now, our minds are one. Yo. The waters. We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst and providing us with strength. Water is life. We know its power in many forms: waterfalls and rain, mists and streams, rivers and oceans. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the Spirit of water. Now, our minds are one. Yo. The fish. We turn our minds to all the fish life in the water. They were instructed to cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We are grateful that we can still find pure water. So we turn now to the fish, and we send our greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. Yo. The plants. Now we turn to the vast fields of plant life. As far as the eye can see, the plants grow, working many wonders. They sustain many life forms. With our minds gathered together, we give thanks and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come. Now, our minds are one. Yo. The food plants. With one mind, we turn to honor and thank all the food plants we harvest from the garden. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and berries have helped the people survive. Many other things draw strength from them too. We gather all the plant foods together as one and send them a greeting of thanks. Now our minds are one. Yo. The medicine herbs. Now we turn to the medicine herbs of the world. From the beginning, they were instructed to take away sickness. They are always waiting and ready to heal us. We are happy. There are still among us those few who remember how to use these plants for healing. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to the medicines and to the keepers of the medicines. Now our minds are one. Yo. The animals. We gather our minds together to send greetings and thanks to all the animal life in the world. They have many things to teach us as people. We are honored by them when they give up their lives so we may use their bodies as food for our people. We see them near our homes and deep in the forests. We are glad they are still here, and we hope it will always be so. Now our minds are one. Yo. The trees. We now turn our thoughts to the trees. The earth has many families of trees who have their own instructions and uses. Some provide us with shelter and shade, others with fruit, beauty, and other useful things. Many people of the world use a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. With one mind, we greet and thank the tree life. Now, our minds are one. Yo. The birds. We put our minds together as one and thank all the birds who move and fly about over our heads. The Creator gave them such beautiful songs. Each day, they remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. The eagle was chosen to be their leader. To all the birds, from the smallest to the largest, we send our joyful greetings and thanks. Now our minds are one. Yo. The four winds. We are all thankful to the powers we know as the four winds. We hear their voices in the air moving as they refresh us and purify the air we breathe. They help us to bring the change of seasons. From the four directions they come, bringing us messages and giving us strength. With one mind, we send our greetings and thanks to the four winds. Now, our minds are one. Yo. The thunderers. Now we turn to the west, where our grandfathers, the thunder beings, live. With lightning and thundering voices, they bring with them the water, which renews life. We are thankful that they keep those evil things made by the Oquiseries underground. We bring our minds together as one to send greetings and thanks to our grandfathers, the thunderers. Now our minds are one. Yo. The sun. We now send greetings and thanks to our eldest brother, the sun. Each day without fail, he travels from the sky east to west, bringing the light of a new day. He is the source of all the fires of life. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our brother, the sun. Now our minds are one. Yo. Grandmother Moon. We put our minds together to give thanks to our oldest grandmother, the moon, who lights the nighttime sky. She is the leader of all women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time, and it is the moon who watches over the arrival of children here on earth. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to our grandmother, the moon. Now, our minds are one. No. The stars. We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them in the night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. With our minds gathered together as one, we send greetings and thanks to the stars. Now our minds are one. Yo. The enlightened teachers. We gather our minds to greet and thank the enlightened teachers who have come to help throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. With one mind, we send greetings and thanks to these caring teachers. Now our minds are one. Yo, the Creator. Now we turn our thoughts to the Creator, or Great Spirit, and send greetings and thanks for all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we gather our minds together as one, and we send our choicest words of greetings and thanks to our Creator. Now our minds are one. Yo. Closing words. We have now arrived at the place where we end our words. Of all the things we have named, it was not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greetings and thanks in their own way. Now, our minds are one.